Hello, my name is Belzhaeva Ina. I am candidate economic science, associate professor of Czech economy, South Kazakhstan University. Today we will consider subject planning as instrument of business management. Planning is the process ordered based on information processing, on development of the project in which parameters for achievement of the purposes in the future are determined. The plan is a result of planning in which the purposes, strategic approaches, and key parameters for achievement of the purposes in the future are formulated.
In society with a high level of technical, cultural, and economic development, such tool as planning is the inevitable assistant in management process. The main goal of planning consists in being the effective instrument of achievement of the goals of the enterprise, in due time to reveal means, alternatives, and also changes and risks of achievement of the goals, and to choose the relevant activities. It is possible to tell that planning in narrow sense is connected with the definition of future events and drawing up plans. Usual plans have 6 phases, and these are phases 1 to 3. Planning in a broad sense covers not only definition of future events and drawing up plans, but also adoption of planned decisions, phase 1 to 4. The last 2 phases, phases 5 and 6, are connected with implementation of plans and assessment of results. A poor development of relations of production, all responsibility for planning and drawing up plans lay on one worker, the boss or his deputy. That's the traditional approach to planning. An expansion of production and complication of relationships at the enterprise over problem of planning and responsibility was distributed over the one quite wide range of persons. That's the system approach to planning.
Duration of time on which the plan is formed is called the temporary horizon. Taking into account the temporary horizon, distinguish short-term planning, medium-term planning, and the long-term planning. On the basis of functional department to which planning corresponds, it is possible to distinguish, for example, sale planning, production planning, storage planning, supply planning, planning of finance, planning of investments. In the theory of planning, it is accepted to distinguish 3 levels on the basis of hierarchy of planning: strategic, highest, tactical, average, operational, low. Sometimes these 3 levels of planning are equated to 3 types of planning on the correlated temporary horizon. Planning is one of the basic elements of the mechanism of management. In world practice are developed and most often the following forms of planning meets: directive, strategic, and indicative, and in the countries with market economy, strategic and indicative planning.
And what about business plan and business planning? Business plan is a document containing all information on the project necessary for its implementation in the structured look, and also the analysis of problems which the firm and ways of their decision can face. Business planning represents objective assessment of own entrepreneurial activity of the enterprise firm, and at the same time according to requirements of the market and current situation. The business plan can be developed with various purposes. They can be divided on internal and external. External purposes: attracting investors, to draw attention of the potential investor and to attract his interest in the considered project. Receiving credit: demand banks for definition of possibility of return investments made in the project. Internal purposes: check of the idea on realness of realize. An example with the American consulting firms for small business. Giving to business of focus: forces his to be engaged in prospects of firm to define the purposes and ways of their achievement.
Purpose of the business plan consists in that, first, to study the prospects or development of future sales market of production, to make only what can be sold. Second, to estimate those expenses which will be necessary for production and its sold production necessary to this market, and to commensurate them with those prices at which it will be possible to sell, to define potential profitability of the conceived business. 3. Define the various steps trapping a risk nova in the first years of its realization and to offer various actions for minimization of design risk in case of undesirable succession of events. 4. To define criteria and indicators by which it will regularly be possible to determine whether there is business for rise or slides to disorder. Problems which are solved in the course of business planning. Justification of economic feasibility of the direction of development, both for external and for internal. Calculation of the expected financial results. Determination of structure of sources of financing. Staff requirement capable to realize the plan allows to define duties and the responsibility of personnel.